The story begins not with a bang, but with a quiet click from hundreds of miles above the Earth. In the vast silence of space, a satellite's camera lens captures a moment that would otherwise go unnoticed, setting the stage for a dramatic revelation. High-resolution satellite images taken just days ago have provided a silent but powerful testimony to a recent clash in the South China Sea. These images, sharp and unblinking, offer a perspective that no eyewitness on the ground could ever match. These pictures show a Chinese Coast Guard ship docked at a port in Hainan, a large island off China's southern coast. The vessel, usually seen patrolling contested waters, now sits motionless, drawing attention from analysts and observers alike. The vessel is not there for routine maintenance, it's undergoing urgent repairs. The flurry of activity around the shipyard hints at the seriousness of the situation, as crews work around the clock to assess and fix the damage. The damage is clearly visible even from orbit. A significant portion of its hull is dented and scraped, evidence of a forceful impact. The scars on the ship's exterior tell a story of violence at sea, a story that satellite imagery cannot hide. This is the kind of damage that doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of a deliberate and forceful encounter, the aftermath of a confrontation that left its mark on steel and paint. Following a tense encounter near the disputed Scarborough Shoal, both China and the Philippines blamed each other for a collision. The standoff, captured in both official statements and grainy footage, quickly escalated into a diplomatic flashpoint. Words can be manipulated, but a photograph tells a different kind of story. Satellite images cut through the fog of rhetoric, providing hard evidence that is difficult to dispute or spin. The images confirm the confrontation was severe, forcing one of China's formidable Coast Guard ships out of commission. The ship's sudden withdrawal from active duty is a rare event, underscoring the intensity of the incident. Rushing the ship to a major port in Hainan underscores the seriousness and urgency of the situation. Emergency repair teams mobilized immediately, highlighting the strategic importance of keeping these vessels operational. These satellite photos have become central evidence, analyzed by military experts and diplomats worldwide. They are now at the heart of international discussions, shaping perceptions and influencing policy decisions far beyond the region. The eye in the sky has provided clarity, revealing the tangible consequences of rising tensions in one of the world's most contested waterways. In a region where every move is watched and every incident scrutinized, these images serve as a stark reminder of how quickly disputes can escalate, and how technology now brings those moments into sharp global focus. The incident that led to the ship's urgent repairs unfolded in mid-September 2025, in the contested waters near Scarborough Shoal, a region long at the center of maritime disputes in the South China Sea. On that day, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel was dispatched on a critical mission to resupply more than 35 Filipino fishing boats, which were operating in their traditional fishing grounds, waters they have relied on for generations. However, the mission quickly escalated into a tense and dangerous standoff when the Philippine vessel suddenly found itself surrounded by 9 Chinese Coast Guard ships, each maneuvering aggressively and blocking its path. According to reports, the Chinese ships allegedly took increasingly aggressive actions, closing in on the Philippine vessel and unleashing powerful water cannons, creating a wall of water and chaos at sea. The force of the water cannons shattered the glass on the Philippine vessel's bridge, sending shards flying and injuring at least one crew member, while also damaging vital equipment on board. Amid the confusion and mounting tension, the two ships collided, resulting in further chaos and damage as crews scrambled to regain control. The Philippines swiftly described the encounter as a clear act of harassment, emphasizing that their vessel was on a humanitarian mission to support local fishermen and deliver essential supplies. The resulting damage to the ship and the injury to its crew were presented by Philippine authorities as direct consequences of what they called China's aggressive and unlawful behavior at sea. In response, Manila publicized its version of events, filed a formal diplomatic protest, and openly accused China of violating international law and endangering lives. The incident was widely treated as a deliberate act of aggression, sparking outrage in the Philippines and fueling international concern over rising tensions in the South China Sea. China presented a completely different version of events near Scarborough Shoal, offering a narrative that sharply contrasts with the Philippine account and international reports. The China Coast Guard claimed the Philippine vessel intruded into what it calls Chinese waters without any prior notification or permission, and that it was escorting fishing boats allegedly engaged in illegal activities such as poaching or unauthorized resource extraction. From Beijing's standpoint, their Coast Guard was simply fulfilling its duty to defend China's sovereign territory and protect its maritime interests, as it has repeatedly stated in official briefings. The CCG said it used what it called necessary control measures, including repeated verbal warnings and the deployment of water cannons, to expel the vessels, insisting these actions were both justified and restrained. China further alleged that the Philippine vessel deliberately collided with one of its ships, describing the incident as a provocative maneuver designed to escalate tensions and create an international incident. Beijing dismissed the Philippines' claims as nothing more than propaganda, reiterating its historical claim to nearly the entire South China Sea, a claim that has been at the heart of regional disputes for years. According to Chinese authorities, any foreign vessel entering these contested waters without explicit approval from Beijing is automatically considered an intruder, regardless of international opinion. The damage to the Chinese ship was blamed squarely on what officials described as the Philippine crew's reckless and dangerous behavior, further fueling accusations of provocation. This narrative is part of China's broader strategy to control the story around its activities in the South China Sea, shaping both domestic and international perceptions through state media and official statements. By labeling the Philippine mission as illegal, China casts itself as the victim of provocation, seeking to justify its actions and rally public support at home. The stark difference between the two accounts highlights the deep, irreconcilable dispute over the shoal and underscores just how far apart the two sides remain in their versions of the truth. The Philippines forcefully rebutted China's claims, framing the incident as bullying on the high seas. The BRP Sindangan was conducting a lawful patrol and resupply mission within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Their presence was legal under international law, specifically UNCLOS. Manila described a David and Goliath confrontation. One Philippine vessel swarmed by 9 Chinese ships. The Chinese executed aggressive maneuvers and used water cannons, causing damage and injury. The Philippines denied any deliberate collision, blaming Chinese blocking tactics. Manila called China's version disinformation and lodged a strong diplomatic protest. By documenting these encounters, the Philippines aims to spotlight China's expansionist agenda. They seek international support and reinforce the legitimacy of a 2016 tribunal ruling that invalidated China's sweeping claims. For the Philippines, this is a fight for sovereign rights and the rule of law in the region. Scarborough Shoal, or Panatag Shoal, is a triangular chain of reefs and rocks about 240 kilometers west of Luzon. Its strategic importance far outweighs its size, sitting within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. For centuries, it's been a vital fishing ground for Filipinos. The dispute escalated in 2012 when China seized control, blocking Filipino fishermen. Since then, Chinese vessels have maintained a constant presence, creating a de facto blockade. Control of the shoal allows monitoring of shipping and military movements in a critical part of the South China Sea. There are fears China may build a military outpost, shifting the regional balance. Just before the September collision, China announced plans to turn the shoal into a nature reserve. The Philippines and its allies condemn this as a pretext to legitimize China's control. The move is seen as another tactic in China's playbook of gray zone operations. The September 2025 collision was just the latest in a series of confrontations around Scarborough Shoal. In December 2024, the Chinese Coast Guard fired water cannons and sideswiped a Philippine vessel. In June 2024, a skirmish broke out at Second Thomas Shoal, with Chinese personnel attacking Filipino soldiers with bladed weapons. These incidents show a pattern of escalating force by China, from blocking maneuvers to water cannons and even hand-to-hand combat. Each event tests the limits of what the Philippines and the world will tolerate. China uses its Coast Guard and maritime militia to impose its will without triggering outright war. The Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled in 2016 in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's 9-line claim. China has rejected the ruling, enforcing its claims through continued confrontations. Just a month before the September collision, China suffered an embarrassing incident near Scarborough Shoal. On August 11, 2025, A Chinese warship accidentally collided with a China Coast Guard vessel while both pursued a Philippine ship. The smaller CCG vessel performed a risky maneuver, slamming into the larger warship. Manila released video evidence showing the CCG firing its water cannon before the crash. The warship was badly damaged and forced to withdraw. China's official response was evasive, omitting mention of the collision. The incident exposed the risks and poor coordination of China's aggressive tactics. It served as a warning that the crowded, chaotic environment could spiral out of control. The escalating tensions around Scarborough Shoal have drawn global attention. After the September collision and China's nature reserve plan, several countries voiced support for the Philippines. The United States, a treaty ally, condemned China's destabilizing actions and reaffirmed its commitment to defend the Philippines. Washington warned that attacks on Philippine vessels could invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty. These warnings are meant to deter China and signal serious consequences. Canada and others questioned the sincerity of China's environmental claims, seeing them as a pretext for territorial control. Such diplomatic statements help isolate China and build consensus around international law. Recent clashes have occurred alongside increased military cooperation between the Philippines and its allies. Joint drills with the US and Japan send a message of solidarity. China, in turn, has warned the Philippines against provocations, fueling a cycle of action and reaction. The waters around Scarborough Shoal remain dangerously unsettled. The recent collision, confirmed by satellite imagery, is a stark reminder of how close the region is to serious conflict. Each encounter raises the odds of a miscalculation. China shows no sign of de-escalation, standing by its territorial claims and enforcing them with its Coast Guard. The Philippines, meanwhile, is publicizing Chinese aggression and strengthening alliances. The goal: make China's actions so visible and costly that it is forced to moderate its behavior. This strategy carries risks, but Manila sees it as the only alternative to surrendering its rights. The cycle of resupply missions and blockades will likely continue, each event a potential flashpoint. The key question: will a future incident cross a line, trigger a fatality, or invoke the US Defense Treaty? The world is watching as the South China Sea remains on a knife's edge.